Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text 22. This chapter is called Questions by the Sages, and it's a very well-known verse. Tvam na sandashito datra, tam na sandashito datra, dustaram nistitir shatam, dustaram nistitir shatam, kalim sattva haram pumsam, kalim sattva haram pumsam, karnadara ivarnavam, karnadara ivarnavam, tamna sandashito datra, dustaram nistitir shatam, kalim sattva haram pumsam, karnadara ivarnavam, tamna sandashito datra, dustaram nistitir shatam, kalim sattva haram pumsam, karnadara ivarnavam, tamna sandashito datra, dustaram nistitir shatam, kalim sattva haram pumsam, karnadara ivarnavam. Someone like to chant? Tamna sandashito datra, dustaram nistitir shatam, kalim Mataji's. Tvam, your goodness, na, unto us, sandarshita, meeting, datra, by providence, dustaram, insurmountable, nistitir shatam, for those desiring to cross over, kalim, the age of Kali, sattvaharam, that which deteriorates the good qualities, pamsam, of a man, karnadara, captain, iva, as, arnavam, the ocean. Translation: we think that we have met your goodness by the will of providence, just so that we may accept you as captain of the ship for those who desire to cross the ocean of Kali, which deteriorates all the good qualities of a human being. Please repeat. We think we have met your goodness by the will of providence, just so that we may accept you as captain of the ship for those who desire to cross the difficult ocean of Kali, which deteriorates all the good qualities of a human being. Srila Prabhupada's purport: the age of Kali is very dangerous for the human being. Human life is simply meant for self-realization, but due to this dangerous age, men have completely forgotten the aim of life. In this age, the lifespan will gradually decrease. People will gradually lose their memory, finer sentiments, strength, and better qualities. A list of the anomalies for this age is given in the 12th canto of this work. And so this age is very difficult for those who want to utilize this life for self-realization. The people are so busy with sense gratification that they completely forget about self-realization. Out of madness, they frankly say that there is no need for self-realization because they do not realize that this brief life is but a moment on our great journey towards self-realization. The whole system of education is geared to sense gratification, and if a learned man thinks it over, he sees that the children of this age are being intentionally sent to the slaughterhouses of so-called education. Learned men, therefore, must be cautious of this age, and if they at all want to cross over the dangerous ocean of Kali, they must follow the footsteps of the sages of Naimisharanya and accept Sri Sudha Goswami or his bona fide representative as captain of the ship. The ship is the message of Lord Sri Krishna in the shape of Bhagavad Gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Agyanat Marandasya Gyananjana Slakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vikam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Lagate Girim Yatkripatam Vande Shri Girim Dinitaranam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we chose this verse today because it is the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. So this verse is relevant to all the spiritual masters. The spiritual master, he never thinks of himself as a spiritual master. He always thinks of himself as a disciple. And there was the occasion on Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja, where Prabhupada was personally present, and the devotees were glorifying him. And he didn't, in his Vaishnava humility, he didn't accept any of the glorification. It wasn't some kind of mental trick or some smart way of talking. Sorry, but you need to stay awake, otherwise there's no point in me sitting here. You need to make an effort. If you can't stay awake, you need to stand up. It's the same for everybody. If we don't hear, it'll be hard to understand why we're doing what we're doing. It's important to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. It's mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that by regular hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, all that is inauspicious within the heart is gradually destroyed to nil. We really need this. Otherwise, we're bound to this material world. We have to cleanse our heart by this. So, Srila Prabhupada, he glorified his disciples and his spiritual master. He didn't take any credit for himself. So this is Prabhupada showing us the way. We don't take credit for ourselves. We give credit to our spiritual master. And Prabhupada was so humble that when devotees glorified him, he would say that, it was only at the fag end of my life that I took up this mission. My Guru Maharaj gave me this mission when I was a young man, and it was only at the fag end of my life. So he was self-deprecating, but not in a kind of low self-esteem. Low self-esteem means that you've got no confidence to act. Prabhupada had so much confidence because he's got the whole Guru Parampara behind him. And with us as well, we're like that. We might not think much of ourselves, which is good, but by the mercy of Guru and the Vaishnavas, then we can do something. Because before we met the devotees, we didn't even know how to put on tilak. We didn't know there was such a thing called tilak. We thought it was maybe bird poo or something. Or somebody had wiped their nose up too far or something. We didn't know there was such a thing as a dhoti or a sari. We thought people were just like wearing some bed sheets. And we had no idea that we could give up all the things we were attached to. But by the mercy of Krishna, by the mercy of the devotees and the spiritual master, then the things which we were so attached to, which we wouldn't dream of giving up, we're giving them up. And Prabhupada, he didn't take any credit for this. And the present-day spiritual masters, they don't either. They credit Prabhupada for giving them. So the same for us, there's this saying, there go I, but by the grace of God. So that can be us. If we don't keep to this process, we could be back out there again. We're going out there to try to help people. And the devotees who are staying back here, they're supposed to be doing full-time service to try to serve the Sanctine mission, not just like doing a little bit here and there just to get by, and scuttling around, hoping that, or hiding in the service. We're not supposed to be hiding in our service. We're supposed to be serving each other. This was Sankirtan mission. The Krishna conscious movement is not a place to hide. It's a place to serve. Naturally, we want to escape from the material world, but we have to do that. We have to serve the Sankirtan mission. So that means if we're not going out in Sankirtan, then we have to try to serve those who are doing the Sankirtan so that our contribution is related to that. So I'm speaking quite straightforwardly there because I feel very uncomfortable if I see people utilising the facilities that devotees have worked hard to create and they're just doing as little as possible. So it's not my service to allow people to take advantage of a situation like that. And if they feel uncomfortable with it, then that's good. We should be comfortable in our own situation, just thinking that what little we're doing is enough. It's never enough. Even Prabhupada, whatever he did, you see, he did so much. He established so many temples, so many devotees, etc. But he actually said his mission was only half completed. If we did 1,000th of what Prabhupada did, then we would be feeling that we were successful or we'd achieved something. So out of his humility, then he felt like he hadn't done enough. At the same time, he knew he gave everything. He said, everything's there in my books. So here we actually brought this verse here because it is the disappearance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, and we want to speak a little bit about him, and this verse allows us to speak about him. So this human form of life, in Kali Yuga, Prabhupada said here in the purport, is a very dangerous place for the human being. The human life is meant for self-realization. It's meant for tapasya. But if we think that it's just meant for sense gratification, then we will suffer. A personal experience you try to enjoy, but at the end you end up suffering. So if we accept voluntary penance, voluntary tapasya, not that we have to make life tapasya, but doing this, serving the Sankirtan mission, this is our tapasya. So sometimes when we're preaching, it's austere. We have to go out in the rain, the wind, the snow, meeting people who we don't know. Sometimes they meet us with favourable expressions. Sometimes they're not so favourable. But that is our tapasya. And sometimes we go on a preaching engagement and it's great. People want books, they're lining up to take books. And then there's a nice big feast and there's kirtans and everyone's happy. But we're in the material world. We shouldn't be looking just simply that we only do things which are comfortable or which is looking for some utopia in the material world. That is a disaster waiting to happen. This material world, padam padam yid vipadam, step after step there's danger. So we have to be prepared for that. And preparations for that is having good, strong sadhana. Hearing is so important. Why Shravanam is out of the 9 processes, Shravanam is the first one. We have to hear. We have to keep focusing our mind on hearing. When the japa is going on, when the holy names are being chanted, when the kirtan is going on, we should be endeavouring to hear. If our mind is distracted, keep bringing it back. Even if we have to do it for 50 years, keep bringing it back. If we just let it go, the mind's in control. And then samsara. repeated birth and death. So we have to make that endeavour, constant endeavour. Satyananda Maharaj, he was saying that to begin with, we have to make endeavour. So this endeavour is keep on focusing the mind on our service, focusing our mind on staying awake, focusing our mind on being attentive to hearing class, to being attentive to hearing our japa, being participating in the kirtan, being present in our services, engaging our mind in thinking of Krishna. And if we keep doing that, then eventually the momentum will be that the mind becomes our friend. If we don't make that endeavour, somebody has to step in and tell us, and then we look at them as if they're an enemy. So we shouldn't allow our mind to go so distracted that our well-wishers become seen as our enemies. And that can happen, but you can catch your mind again. It's all right, we can make mistakes. We all do. So just taking this class over to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, we're going to be doing an arti for him soon. So this Srila Prabhupada established so many temples, and everything he did, he credited the spiritual master, and even his disciples. He said, "My spiritual master has sent all you boys and girls along to help me do this nice service." And so this is Prabhupada showing us that we cannot do this alone. Srila Prabhupada said Lord Chaitanya could do this, he could spread this movement single-handedly, but he wanted us to get the credit. So we might be thinking, well, I'm not looking for the credit, I'd rather not go out on the street, or I'd rather not go through this austerity, but actually credit is there, that we make some tapasya, and then the Lord sees that we're making an effort, and then he takes many steps towards us. And Krishna knows that it's very difficult to be a devotee in Kali Yuga, in this material world. So when he sees us making some endeavour, then he's very pleased with that. So we'll just keep on trying to make the endeavour. And then we will see that we're simply dasa anudas. And whatever the Lord wants us to be, then that'll be. We can be a part of it. Or if we try to be something too big, then motivated by ego, then that becomes a problem. Just try to be a servant and associate with the other servants. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who was born as Bimal Prasad Dutt on February 6, 1874 in Jagannath Puri. His father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, prayed for his son to help him in his preaching. When Bimal Prasad was 6 months old, the carts of the Jagannath festival stopped at the gate of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's residence, and for 3 days they could not be moved. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's wife brought the infant onto the cart and approached the deity of Lord Jagannath. Spontaneously, the child extended his arms and touched the feet of Lord Jagannath, and was immediately blessed with a garland that fell from the body of the Lord. When Bhaktivinoda Thakur learned that the Lord's garland fell on his son, he realized that indeed this was the son for whom he prayed. So there's another book which is called A Ray of Vishnu. Do you have it there, Shram? Yeah, it's a very nice book. It's maybe, it should be, if it's not there, it should have been, so it might be in next door. But so that Ray of Vishnu refers to the prayer that Bhaktivinoda Thakur made to the Lord. He was praying to Lord Chaitanya that there's so many Sahaja groups going on here, and I need someone to continue the Sankirtan movement after I'm gone. So he's praying for just send one of your men here. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur had quite a few children, but in this one it was actually the son that he prayed for. And the confirmation of that was when the chariot stopped outside the residence in Jagannath Puri, and it wouldn't move. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur's wife, Bhagavati Devi Dasi, she brought the child, Bimal Prasad, to show to the Lord, to get the blessings. And when she brought him before the Lord, the garland of the Lord fell onto Bimal Prasad, and then the chariot moved. So this is always seen as a direct blessing of the Lord. So, ray of Vishnu, this is what he meant by that. By the time Bhima Prasad was 7, he had memorized the entire Bhagavad Gita and could even explain its verses. His father then began training him in proofreading and printing in conjunction with the publishing of the Vaishnava magazine, Sajjana Toshani. With his father, he visited many holy places and heard discourses from learned pandits. By the time he was 25, he had become well versed in Sanskrit, mathematics, and astronomy, and he had established himself as the author and publisher of many magazine articles and one book, Surya Siddhanta, for which he received the epithet Siddhanta Saraswati in recognition of his erudition. When he was 26, his father guided him to take initiation from a renounced Vaishnava saint, Gaurkishore Das Babaji. So there's a pastime with that, you may have heard it. I'll tell it again, in case you were sleeping when I mentioned it the last time. Is that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, one of his most closest associates was Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. They were contemporaries. We see them sitting next to each other in the parampara. So they're generally considered to be contemporaries. And they would discuss Krishna philosophy. And they had some very interesting, humorous exchanges. For example, one time they were having some philosophical argument, and Gaurkishore Babaji Maharaj, he kind of went away in the huff. We say in the huff, but it was a transcript as much as we can describe it. You know, they couldn't come to some conclusion, so he went away with a difference of opinion. 6 months later, they bumped into each other again and just carried on this conversation as if it was 2 seconds ago. And just like I was saying, so this Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj was revered by all as being a very, very renounced and advanced saintly person. So he was actually an internally liberated soul, one of the Lord's direct associates. And he was considered to be renunciation personified. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, go and seek initiation from Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So he approached him and says, I don't give initiation, I don't want any disciples. So he went back to his father and said, oh, you want to initiate me? And he says, you go and get initiation or don't come back to the house. So he went there, and there was a river that Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj used to cross over every day, and there was a log over it, which was basically enough for one person to walk on it to get to the other side, and below was a fast-flowing river. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati knew that he traversed that path every day, and he sat on the log, and Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj said, you know, excuse me, I need to get past. He says, no. He says, unless you give me initiation, then I'm going to throw myself in this river. So he says, okay. And they took him to the side, and they threw some dirt in his face, and he said, okay, you're initiated. So not to be copied. If anyone does that, then I would be quite suspicious of him. But he's such an elevated soul that he didn't have to see the fire yajna and all the, I was going to say palaver, but I won't say, all the rituals and ceremonies and trimmings, etc., that go on, are there to make it a very memorable occasion so that it creates a samskar in our mind, so we don't think light of it. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was so sincere that it was life or death. If he didn't get initiation, there was no point in him staying alive. So it's like, well, there's no point in me maintaining my body. So he took it so seriously that he just had to say, yes, okay, you're my disciple, and that was it. That's how it didn't have to be, we've got to get 108 guests, and everyone's got to have so many garlands, and we've got to have the right type of grains, and it has to be decorated this way, and all the mantras have to be done. Well, how do you do the yajna? Oh, I do it like this, well, I do it like that. You know, all these details. But it was so memorable for his spiritual master just to say yes, that was enough. And this is how sincere a devotee is. When he was only a small boy, like 3 or 4 years old, I think it was. He mistakenly took a mango which was meant for the deities, and his father very kindly says, "My dear boy, you should not have taken this. This was meant for the deities." And he was so mortified that he never took a mango the rest of his life. And one time, Prabhupada mentions one time he was offered a mango and he says, "No, I cannot take, I'm an offender." How sincere, how serious. And this is showing us, how we shouldn't imitate, but we can think, okay, at least I should try to be a bit more sincere than what I am. It's we may not be on that level, but we can try to be on a better level than we are. And try to follow in the footsteps, not imitating. So in 1905, Siddhanta Saraswati took a vow to chant the Hare Krishna mantra 1 billion times. Residing in Mayapur in a grass hut near the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, he chanted the Hare Krishna mantra day and night. When the rainwater leaked through the grass ceiling, he sat beneath an umbrella chanting. Just like we've had some quite heavy rain recently, and a couple of buildings are leaking, immediately we've got to go and get the roofer. Everything stops for that. Even sometimes the morning program, we have some problem, and we'll stop and we'll go and take care of it. Of course, we're serving the preaching mission, but for his own personal convenience, simply an umbrella. I've not time to fix the roof, the umbrella will do fine. So actually, it doesn't give much of a description here of that time, but while he was chanting these 1 billion names, the Panchatattva appeared and they were dancing in kirtan and he was dancing with them. And he was instructed, now go and start this movement. So that very day, I'm not sure whether he did chant the 1 billion names or whether the Lord says, just go and start the movement. So as soon as he got the instruction that very day, he formed the Gaudiya Math. And he opened 64 temples and did so many preaching things. He was very innovative. So he understood that Lord Chaitanya's mission to spread the holy name to every town and village is not going to happen unless we embrace the modern world as it is. As he's seen that travelling was becoming, transport was such a thing. So previously, like a sannyasi would never go outside of India, outside the country. Even some of them would never leave their own village. They take Kshetra sannyas where they never leave that place. But he understood that in order for this mission to be spread throughout the whole world, then we have to take the modern inventions and innovations and utilize them in Krishna's service. So then he propagated the philosophy of renunciation by engaging in Krishna's service, yukta, vairagya, not just vairagya. So in this way, by utilizing it in Krishna's service, which is the only type of renunciation, then he engaged so many people in so many situations. He even demonstrated it in a very similar way which Prabhupada did. One time Prabhupada was picked up by a Rolls Royce, we've said this, and he was at the program and someone says, "Why are they picking you up in this?" And he says, "Why not a gold car? What is this, tin and glass and rubber? What is this Rolls Royce just?" So one time, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he appeared at Radhakund with a nice coat, a big turban and a Rolls Royce. And he was not disturbed in any way whatsoever because he wasn't thinking, this is for my enjoyment. He was thinking, this is actually showing that Krishna's messenger should be received like this. He was not attached to it at all because he could sit in a grass hut with nothing and chant for the rest of his life. So the modern conveniences of that age, he would utilize, he put on big festivals. And he'd have dioramas. He also had female disciples who he encouraged, who were very learned and who would give lectures, which was quite unheard of in those days. So in many ways, he was such a reformer. And the people of the caste system, they didn't like him because they were spoiling their gig. He was spoiling their gig. Basically, they were exploiting the common people. And therefore, he wanted to show that Krishna consciousness is available to everybody. It's not simply for one type of caste. This knowledge is available to everybody, whether it's man or woman or higher caste, low caste. Lord Chaitanya made no such distinctions, and this is the message which he was passing over. So his father passed away in 1914, and his spiritual master passed away in 1915. He continued the mission. He assumed editorship of the Sajjanatoshi and established Bhagavad Press in Krishnanagar. And in 1918 in Mayapur, he took sannyas from his spiritual master via a picture. And at that time he assumed the title of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. And this term Brihat Madanga, can anyone tell me what that refers to? Printing press. And I believe he had one printing press installed opposite the deities as well. It was so important. So Brihat Madanga, the printing press, that's right. So that was enabling the Kirtan or the Hari Katha to be spread, widespread, all over the world. He also excavated Lord Chaitanya's appearance place at Yogapit in Sridham, Mayapur, and built a beautiful Gaudiamath temple there, which you can still see if you go there. And he printed Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Mangal, Prema Bhakti Chandrika, and many other books, magazines, and newspapers on Krishna consciousness. He preached fearlessly, defeating Mayavadis, impersonalists, caste Goswamis, Smarta Brahmins, and all those opposing the pure teachings of Lord Chaitanya. He was known as Singha Guru. Singha Guru means like lion guru, so he was very strong. And sometimes he would go up to Mayavadis in the street and grab them by the scruff and say, "Why are you cheating people? Why are you cheating? Why are you saying God is not a person?" So he's very strong. Of course, we don't necessarily do that in Buchanan Street. Not to go up to some other religious person and say, "Why are you cheating?" We encourage whatever faith people have in God, then we try to encourage that. And if we can take it further when we do that, we don't have the potency of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati where we can do that, and it's not the same culture either. So we have to bear these things in mind. And even there was attempts made on his life. There was a couple of attempts made on his life. And they had bribed one policeman to turn a blind eye, but he went and told him. And one of his disciples, I forget the name of him, he says, "Give me your cloth." And he went as a decoy, and then they realised it wasn't Bhaktisiddhanta, and he had moved on somewhere else. So this is the showing that, they didn't just have an easy time. They weren't just having a cushy time in Vedic India, wandering around in BTG land with everything's hunky-dory and just eating sweet balls all day, and we're just milking the cows and jumping about and harinam and blissful. They took up serious message, and they took the message up seriously of Lord Chaitanya, and they faced so many dangers. You don't go looking for them, but they come, and your faith is tested. Are we going to continue when the difficulties come? Somebody maybe speak harshly to us. It might be a devotee, it might be a non-devotee. Or we may be struggling with the body or the mind. Or we may experience some opposition outside of the temple. So it's important that we just keep on going with our service. The dogs may bark, but the camel train still passes through. This is what they say, isn't it? That message is there. The camels, they don't take any notice of the barking dogs, so we are like Krishna's camels carrying the message. And whatever people say, Which is, yes, that's okay, fine. Just like Haridas Thakur. Yes, surely we'll enjoy, but wait a minute to finish my rounds. So, yeah, okay, sure, that's fine. Let me carry on with my books. And then finally, before his passing away on January the 1st, 1937, he instructed Srila Prabhupada to become a very good English preacher and to print books whenever he would get money. His last words to the devotees were, "Please accept my blessings to you all, present and absent. Please bear in mind that our sole duty and religion is to spread and propagate service to the Lord and his devotees." So that's the sole duty is to spread and propagate service to the Lord and his devotees. That's all. Our sole duty is that, not to just make a comfortable situation in the material world for us having to come back again and again. So this very auspicious day, we go out and distribute these books. We get special blessings on these days. We can pray to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Prabhupada says that the grandfather is often more kind than the father, so the great-grandfather, he's maybe even more kind. We can pray that he gives us the fortitude and intelligence to continue with this very important mission. And this way we get all the blessings. Any questions or comments?
Thank you, Guru, for amazing class. Thank you for everything the week. We'll start with talking about Sankirtan and how it's the Sankirtan movement and how the other devotees should serve the Sankirtan movement if they're not going out. But I was just contemplating, because sometimes if we're not on the front line and we're just at the temple washing the pots, or as the Dr. Prabhu says, peeling the potatoes, then we don't feel so involved. So I'm wondering how someone that's not so directly engaged with the preaching movement can feel like they're actually part of the Sankirtan movement. They don't just feel like they're a bit worthless. So.
Well, that's the individual's choice. See, they have to see what they're doing is in relation to that. If they don't see that in relation to it, then what is it in relation to? Gornitai are here because they're here leading up the Sankirtan mission. Now, if we can, for whatever reason, go out, then at least we should think, let me serve this mission. So an example of Mother Ratnaranjini, she tried to go out, but she was a very, very shy person, so it was very difficult for her. And then, so instead of doing that, she would do service at the temple, but she did so much service, she was never idle. A pure devotee never likes to remain idle. So if we don't go part of like the front line preaching, at least we can do the backup. This is how we should see ourselves. Anything else is missing the point, really. So we, as a Sankirtan movement, it's pretty much simple as that. And they have to see the relationship. So, and that's fine, you know, if someone's not going to go out in Sankirtan, we don't look down on someone like that. Why should we? If they're doing service back here, it's important to have a temple so that when the devotees are preaching, and the people read the books, they've got somewhere to come. If we just go and give out books and they've got nowhere to come, then how are we going to cultivate people? So it's all part of the same program. So people, then they can be available to cultivate people. Sometimes what happens is we're out preaching, visitors come, and there's nobody here. Because there's so few of us. You know, many people could lend a hand, but they've got other things which are more important to them to do. So there's a handful of us just trying to do everything. And but the thing is, if we see it in relation to Krishna's service and this preaching mission, then we won't be disconnected. Disconnection is there if we're simply just serving and swerving, devotional service. So that was a term that I heard many years ago, and I thought it was quite funny. But it makes you think: am I doing service here for the mission, or am I doing this so I don't have to do that? So that we have to ask ourselves these questions, and then if we think, okay, yeah, well, I can admit I'm doing this because I find that too daunting. Well, that's okay, but then at least do it with the consciousness that I'm serving the mission. For example, Sankirtan devotees having to come back to rooms and do laundry and things like that. Why are other people not coming to do that? So the Sanktan devotees can just be full on. We used to be set up in a different way where the Sanktan devotees didn't even have to do their own laundry. That would be taken care of them, for them. And then if they get puffed up, they'd be kept back to do the laundry so they could see how much that was a service as well. So it's not that the Sanktan devotees are so elite and they become puffed up and exclusive club. That's not the mood. We get smashed. Lord Krishna doesn't like any of his devotees becoming proud, even the topmost devotees. If they become proud, he protects them by different methods. So there has to be in order for good association, there has to be a common appreciation. The devotees who are going out in Sanktan appreciate that the devotees who are back here are worshipping the deities very nicely so that we can take their darshan and get their blessings, and we're taking their prasadam so that we are becoming immunized from Kali Yuga. And devotees who are serving the deities, they're doing it with a nice consciousness so that they can please the deities and please the devotees. So in this way, there's a devotional exchange going on. And so everybody is a giver in this sense. We're giving in different ways, and it's not that one is better than another. It's all part of the same thing. If you have a car and you think, well, the engine's better than tyre, okay, we'll take the tyre off and see how far you go. Or you think, well, so it's all important. Every service is significant. And sometimes you'll see Prabhupada tells a devotee, this is the most important service, and then you see him telling another one, this is the most important service. So that's the most important service for them, and they're all important. And Krishna sees all services as equal. But it's the mood which we're doing it in. That's the important thing. If someone's on Sankirtan and they're puffed up and looking down on somebody because they're peeling potatoes, then the person peeling potatoes may be thinking, oh, I'm just not as good a devotee as those guys going out in Sankirtan. I'm just simply doing potatoes. At least I can serve them. Who's the better devotee? Just like there was a story of the prostitute and the Brahmin. The prostitute was thinking of the Brahmin, not that it's such a nice devotee. I'm so fallen. I wish I could be a devotee like that. And the Brahmin was thinking, that nasty prostitute, she's so contaminated, she shouldn't even be coming to the temple. So who's the more elevated soul? So it's not that devotees should be thinking better than another, but everybody should be thinking, how can I engage in some service to this temple? Even if someone can do 10-minute service a week because they want to do something to serve the Sankirtan mission, come and do that, if that's your mood. But the whole thing is, whatever we're doing, it shouldn't be swerving. I know one devotee, doing Sankirtan is easy for him. He could go and make money. He could sell books more than the rest of the temple put together. But ask him to come and stay back and clean the temple, wash the pots or do the laundry. It wasn't, he couldn't handle it, it was too much for his head. Whereas other devotees are happy to do that. So we have to be, the main thing is what service is approved for us, what is authorized service, and that's how we make advancement. Whether we like it or don't, then that's kind of secondary. Ideally, if we get to do things we like to do, but it's not always the case. Even you get to do things you like to do, you don't always like to do it. So austerity is going to be there anyway, so we may as well accept whatever service is given and do it with the right mood. The mood is serving together in a cooperative fashion. So the front line is going out, contacting people. We give them books, we give them flyers, they come to programs, they come to the temple, they come to the temple and they see the deities, they get inspired, and they come and take prasad, and maybe there's some other services around that they can do. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, or should we carry on with the next part of the program?
We're a little short on time.
Huh?
We are a little short on time, yeah.
Yeah, so we can just do this. It's going to go in the key. Shri Prabhupada ki, Gantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki, Vietnam ki.